In the deserts of the American West, behind guarded gates and hidden communities, there was a secret world that existed. To outsiders, it was a religious settlement dedicated to God. But for those inside, it was a kingdom ruled by fear, control, and unquestioned obedience. This is the story of Warren Steed Jeffs, the so-called prophet of the Fundamentalist Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, or FLDS, a man who built an empire on polygamy, secrecy, and abuse, and whose downfall revealed one of the darkest religious scandals in modern history. The origins of the FLDS Church go back to the 19th century, when the mainstream Mormon Church, officially the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, renounced polygamy in 1890 under pressure from the US government. But not everyone accepted this change. A group of hardline believers insisted that plural marriage was a commandment from God, so they split off, forming the Fundamentalist Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, or FLDS. For decades, the FLDS lived in isolation in remote desert communities, Colorado City, Arizona, and Hilldale, Utah, twin towns often called Short Creek. These settlements became the heart of the polygamous movement. And in this world, men were expected to take multiple wives. Women were expected to obey, bear children, and keep sweet, a phrase that meant absolute submission. It was into this world that Warren Jeffs was born. Warren Steed Jeffs was born December 3rd, 1955, in Sacramento, California. He was one of 50 children of Rulon Jeffs, a man who would later become the prophet of the FLDS Church. From childhood, Warren was quiet, serious, and really very detached. By the time he became principal of the sex-private Alta Academy in Salt Lake City, he was already enforcing strict rules. Boys and girls were separated, obedience was demanded, and individuality was crushed. His father, Rulon, died in 2002. Warren Jeffs moved quickly. He told the community that he, and only he, was now the voice of God. One by one, he began arranging marriages, reassigning wives, and banishing men he considered disobedient. His word was final. To resist him was to resist God. Before Warren Jeffs came to power, there was his father, Rulon Timson Jeffs. His father, Rulon, was born in 1909 and became the prophet of the FLDS Church in 1986, ruling for over 15 years. By the end of his life, Rulon had more than 60 wives and dozens of children. As his health declined, Warren acted as his voice and as his gatekeeper. And when his father Rulon died, Warrens wasted no time consolidating the power. The community had been conditioned for decades to obey without question, and they accepted him as their new leader and as the new prophet. Warren's leadership, the FLDS became more like a dictatorship than a church. He banned things like television, movies, toys, and even bicycles. Children were taught that outsiders were evil and that only through him could they reach heaven. Girls were often pulled from school by the age of 14 in order to prepare for marriage. Some were forced into unions with men decades older than them. Many of the survivors paint a chilling picture of what it was like to be inside settlement. Elisa Wall was forced into marriage at just 14 years old. Later, testifying, "I was taught that to disobey Warren was to damn myself eternally. I had no choice." Others described being reassigned as wives overnight. Their marriages broken apart because Warren declared it so. Families lived in constant fear. At any moment, Warren could exile a father, split up a family, or take a young girl as his own wife. Born in 1986, Elisa Wall was raised to keep sweet and obey. At just 14, she was forced into marriage with her 19-year-old cousin, an arrangement ordered directly by Warren Jeffs. Years later, she would escape. In 2007, she bravely testified against him. Becoming a key witness, her account of being forced into marriage helped secure his first conviction. Elisa went on to publish a memoir titled Stolen Innocence, giving the public an unfiltered look into the world she survived through. Warren established a group of loyal enforcers called the God Squad. These men patrolled the community, reported disobedience, and carried out Warren's orders. Homes were monitored, phones were tapped, and neighbors spied on each other, creating more tension within the settlement. The result was a climate of nothing but paranoia. Members whispered prayers, terrified that a stray thought might mark them as unworthy. Even in exile, men who had been cast out described standing at the edge of the town, begging to see their children, only to be turned away. By the early 2000s, law enforcement could no longer ignore what was happening. In 2004, Utah charged Warren with arranging the marriage of a 16-year-old girl to her 19-year-old cousin. In 2005, Arizona indicted him for sexual misconduct with minors. Rather than face trial, Warren disappeared. He was then placed on the FBI's 10 most wanted list in the year 2006. For over a year, he lived as a fugitive, but finally, on the day of August the 28th, 2007, he was caught during a routine traffic stop near Las Vegas. Police found wigs, burner phones, and $55,000 in cash inside of his vehicle. The prophet of the FLDS church was finally caught in police custody. One of his accomplices was named Willie Jessup, and for years, Willie Jessup was Warren Jeffs' chief bodyguard and spokesman. He often defended the Jeffs publicly, insisting that the FLDS was just misunderstood. But after Jeffs' arrest and conviction, Jessup turned. He cooperated with law enforcement, seized FLDS properties, and later described Jeffs as a fraud who manipulated thousands for his own self-gratification. Jessup's break from Warren Jeffs' grip helped dismantle the Prophet's empire right from the inside. Even behind bars, Warren's grip on his followers didn't end. In April 2008, authorities raided the Yearning for Zion Ranch in El Dorado, Texas. Inside, they found over 400 children. Records revealed spiritual marriages between Warren and girls as young as 12. Audio recordings surfaced of Warren Jeffs conducting training sessions with underage girls, claiming that they were sacred rituals. The raid confirmed what many survivors had been saying for years. This wasn't faith, it was systematic abuse. In 2011, Warren Jeffs stood trial in Texas. The charges: sexual assault of a 12-year-old girl and sexual assault of a 15-year-old girl. DNA evidence proved he fathered a child with one victim, but the most chilling evidence was an audio tape of Warren Jeffs' own voice instructing young girls in sexual heavenly sessions, quote unquote. On August 9th, 2011, he was found guilty. 2 days later, he was sentenced to life in prison plus 20 years. There was a victim by the name of Rebecca Musser. Rebecca Musser was married to Rulon Jeffs as a teenager, Warren Jeffs' father. After Rulon Jeffs' death, Warren Jeff tried to force her to remarry him. Luckily, instead, she escaped in 2002. Rebecca later testified in multiple of the trials, helping convict not only Warren, but even other FLDS leaders. Her memoir, titled The Witness Wore Red, tells the story of her courage and the cost of defying the prophet. Even from prison, Warren continues to send revelations, quote unquote. Some FLDS members still see him as a prophet. Others have broken free, building new lives from the ashes of indoctrination. Alyssa Wall continues to speak out, advocating for survivors of forced marriages. Rebecca Musser works to raise awareness of religious abuse and support others leaving high control groups such as the FLDS Church. Willie Jessup reinvented himself as a businessman, and his testimony against Warren Jeffs helped strip the FLDS Church of its power. Meanwhile, the FLDS community itself is fractured. Many compounds stand half empty, families remain divided, and the scars run very deep. Warren Jeffs may never leave his prison cell, but his shadows still linger over those who grew up under his rule. He called himself a prophet, but Warren Jeffs was never a messenger of God. He was the man who twisted faith into fear, devotion into domination, and childhood into suffering. And though his empire has fallen, the warning he left behind remains clear. Whenever a man claims to speak for God alone, the cost is often paid in innocent lives. And if you found this video informative, consider subscribing for more deep dives into the darkest corners of history. And if you like us to cover other cults or psychological case studies, drop a comment below. Thank you for watching. Stay grounded and stay curious.